Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 3 of Italeri's Operation Silver Bayonet. Scale is 1 to 72. Now, as you can see in the picture, this is a diorama setting. In part 1, I went through what was in the box and my initial plans for the build. In part 2, I've started constructions, and I started with the Huey, which is the UH-1C gunship. In part 3, I'm going to be carrying on with that build. Each videos will concentrate on each component individually. So the Huey, the tank, the transporter, the HUTs, the figures, and so on. Once all the components are built, that's when I'll start building the diorama. So I'll run concurrently. And just on a side note, at the end of the video, as always, I include my alternative paint list. There's a lot of paints going to be used in this because of the different components. So what I'm going to do is on each video, I'll be putting up the paint list up to that point. When I go into the next build and there's different kind of paints and colours used, I will leave on the previous colours and the new colours as well. So as the build progresses, you'll get a larger paint list going on. So I hope that's not too confusion for you, but it just makes it easier for me. So that all being said, let's go and have a look and see how well I get on. I'm starting off with the engine cowls, and I'm painting the inside of these with Rebel Aquila 08 matte black. Not really necessary to paint these, but it should be a darker colour anyway to create shadows. You may see a little bits inside it. I'm not too sure until I put it together. But just on the side of caution, it's better to paint it. What I'm painting here is the rear stabilising wings. And these are painted in Rebel Aquila 35 Fiery Red. I'm not sure why they're red, but that's what the colours call them for, and everyone else is painted on red, so it must be accurate. I just find that a bit strange. Here I'm using Rebel Aquila 45 Light Olive. This is the main colour, and I'm just painting around some of the areas where I'll be painting some decal work. It's just I do this just for ease of painting. Those areas will be repainted, but in more detail later on. I'm using Mr. Hobby's H30 Steel Red Metallic. This is for the exhaust ports and the mechanical components of the rotator engine bay area. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure whether it should actually be this colour, but it should just be the main colour. But like all my builds, I like the different contrast colours, hence why I do it. It may not be 100% accurate though, so fair warning on that. I'm painting the rotablades, and I've gone for a slightly different colour here. I'm using Rebel Aquila 69 Granite Grey. Now, most times I'd build helicopters. I haven't built many. They call for a black, but it all seems too flat and not warm enough. So I like the off sort of colours of black for that. As you see there, I've gone back to the top of the canopy, or the top part of the cockpit, I should say, and I'm fitting the windscreens there, and I'm using the micro crystal clear as my cement for this. That's the canopy glue cement that dries 100% clear and won't fog up any clear parts. The fits of these windows are very good, as that I might add. Sometimes these windows can be problematic fitting. These ones fitted really well. So now that's done, everything's dry, I'm just going to sand down some of the seams lines. There's not many, they're not prominent, but it needs to be done. And once I've sanded them down, I'm just giving it another coat of paint. Now this actually will be painted over a different colour, but the lighter colour will just show up any other seam lines that I may have missed. So it's onto the main windscreen now, and there is little windscreen wipers to be painted here. So for that, I'm just using the Rebel Aquila 08 matte black. Now I'm using a very fine brush to do this, but of course you can. People may find it better if they use a cocktail stick to have that a little bit more control. The actual moulding on the canopy is not great either, so it's quite difficult to see. So I had to persevere to paint these windscreen wipers in. Then I'm using the Revit Color 45 Light Olive to give everything its first coat. Now, some people may say this is just a waste of resources because I end up having to paint a lot of it again. It's just the way I do things. That's how I've done it for years. It's just how I prefer it, really. So it's back to the rotablades, and I'm using here Revit Color 91 steel to paint the mechanical parts of the blade. Now, I've seen some people paint these in a gunmetal colour or a silver even. And I prefer the steel look to these. I'm not sure whether it's authentic or not, but it's basically how I prefer it. And I'll keep on saying things like that, because it is my interpretation. It's not going to be 100% accurate, as I say. It's just how I like the thing to look. Then it's back to the main part of the helicopter, and I'm painting in the black flash that goes on the nose part. And for this, I'm using the Revit Quality Matte Black once more. You may have noticed that my brushes, I'm using a flat brush here. For the overall finish, a flat brush is more preferable than a round tip brush, but a round tip you can work with. If that's all you have, but you just have to be more careful with your strokes. With the flat brush, you get a more even finish. Going to the rear rotor blades now, and as you can see, I've used the 69 granite grey to paint those also. And now I'm putting on the decals, and I'm using the microset decal solution for this. And the reason why I'm putting the decals on now is just ease of handling while it's still on the sprue. If you're going to do it on the sprue, it takes a little bit of practice to do it, but it is easier to handle the unit while doing it. Just make sure you have enough room. None of these sprue branches are going to interfere. Now, when I was putting these decals on, I noticed the actual decal itself is too short. It doesn't meet at the end in the middle, so I will have to take care of that once everything dries. The flashes at the end of the main rotor, though, I didn't have a problem. These decals fitted perfectly. I don't know why the smaller ones didn't fit. At first I thought maybe I put them in the wrong position, but I hadn't. I rechecked and checked and checked as you do. And no, they were just too short, unfortunately. So I'm applying the canopy glue to fit the windscreen. I recommend fitting the windscreen first before you place on the top. You get a better fit that way. I dry fitted it a couple of times just to know what sequence that I should put them in. The windscreen fits really nicely. It just slots in. Then once it's on, it's time to place on the roof. Now, you have to be careful here. It's such a large piece, and you have to be very careful where you're going to be putting your cement. Now, you can see there, I'm using the two different types of cement. I'm using the canopy glue and the normal cement that I use. Now, the reason for that is I want a good bond, obviously, on the roof, but I don't want any of the normal cement to, one, leak onto the clear parts, and two, not to fog it up. Hence why I'm using the canopy glue on the first part of the area, and then the main glue. So you have to be quite careful with it, but if you do just use normal cement, if you place it on, you may want to mask off the area before you place it on, and also leave it in the open air for about a minute, maybe two, until the vapors disappear, then bond. That way you shouldn't get any fogging. But I find it just as easy to do it this way. Now, the roof fitted really well. I placed it from the back onwards and just gently pressed it down, and adhered to the surface beautifully. Once it was completely dried, I added then the bottom parts of the canopy, or the feet well clear area. Again, these fitted really nicely. They just slotted in, didn't need much manipulation to get them in place. Then it was time to fit the engine covers. Now, these are quite a strange shape, and I did actually have quite a bit of difficulty fitting these. In the end, I couldn't get them to fit properly. There were gaps. In fact, I put on my notes, had a problem with fitting, we'll have to use filler. I don't think it's the kit. I think one, it was probably just me, and it's maybe the nature, the shape of the part as well. Because it goes over the rotator, you can't really build it beforehand and place it on it. It can be quite difficult. I tried it both ways and started making a mess of the part, so I had to take it off and clean it and reapply it. It took a little bit of work to get it right. Unfortunately, I didn't record it. I was too busy trying to get this right. I forgot to press the record button. Once it was on and dry, I used the Villaggio plastic putty as a filler. Now, the area was quite. It wasn't small, but it wasn't huge either. You know, it was noticeable, so it didn't need the filler. And as in doing this is where I'll end part 3. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the videos from my other builds. If you subscribe to the channel, and please do so, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date, not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.